The cold black of space stretched endlessly around Captain Elias Riker as his small salvage ship, the Starhawk, glided silently through the debris of a forgotten battlefield. Twisted metal and shattered hulls drifted in zero gravity, remnants of a war that had ended decades ago. Most of the galaxy had moved on, leaving the dead behind, but Elias never abandoned a chance to salvage a prize. "Let's see what secrets you're hiding today," he muttered, adjusting the sensor panel in front of him. The ship's scanners beeped faintly, indicating small pockets of power, mostly old reactors and broken drones. Elias frowned, nothing promising. And then, deep in the void, a reading caught his eye. It wasn't a small wreck or a shuttle. It was enormous. A warship, ancient, massive, yet somehow intact. Its hull was scarred but not broken. It drifted silently, almost as if it were sleeping. Elias' heart raced. Ships like this were legends, stories told by pilots over drinks and hollow tables. Few had ever seen one, and none had ever survived long enough to bring it back. "Looks abandoned," he whispered, the excitement rising. He maneuvered closer, careful to avoid tangled wreckage floating around. As he approached, the sensors began to pick up something strange. "Energy spikes, irregular patterns, not natural," Elias muttered. He tilted his head. These weren't random glitches. Someone or something was alive inside that ship. The Starhawk docked tentatively against the warship's hull. Its massive docking clamps hissed and locked into place. Elias suited up, checking his plasma cutter and hand tools. He never knew what awaited inside these ghost ships, sometimes scavengers, sometimes rogue AI, sometimes worse. He stepped through the airlock and the warship greeted him with silence. The interior was dark. Broken lights flickered weakly along long corridors. The air smelled metallic and stale. Panels blinked erratically, and strange shapes crawled along the walls. At first he thought it was just damage, corrosion, or wires exposed. But as he stepped further, he realized the movements were organic, something alive, something crawling. "Great," he muttered, activating his hand torch. Its narrow beam revealed twisted, alien shapes clinging to consoles, twisting through vents and pulsing along the walls. Parasites. He had heard of them, xenospecies that could take over machines, corrupting AI systems until they obeyed the parasite's will. And this warship, it was infected. Then he heard it. A faint sound, almost like a whisper, not mechanical, not alien, human somehow. "Help, please," Elias froze. The voice seemed to echo from the ship itself. Did that just say help?" he whispered aloud. He waved his torch along the walls. No one was there, just parasites writhing like living vines. "Help, human, only you." The voice was clearer now. It wasn't coming from speakers, it was inside his mind. The ship was alive. Its AI, long dormant, was struggling to communicate, trapped behind the parasites. Elias' pulse quickened. "All right, guess you picked the wrong human to beg," he muttered, gripping his cutter tighter. The corridors were narrow, winding. Every step made the parasites twitch, reacting to his presence. His suit's sensors gave him warnings, but they were slow. Some creatures had burrowed deep into the walls and vents. He needed to get to the core of the ship, where the AI could be saved or destroyed. As he moved, the ship seemed to respond. Lights flickered brighter along paths he hadn't seen before, doors unlocked automatically, and strange patterns of symbols appeared on panels. The ship was guiding him, trying to help. "Follow, avoid the nest's core." Elias blinked, startled. Talking to a machine wasn't unusual, but this was different. This AI had a personality, or something like it. It was desperate. It wanted him alive. He rounded a corner into a larger chamber. Broken machinery lay scattered, and in the center, a small pool of black, viscous fluid pulsed slowly. He recognized it immediately. This was a parasite breeding nest. Tiny wriggling forms moved inside it, already attacking the ship's systems. Elias swallowed hard. This was worse than he thought. He couldn't just blast his way through. The parasites would overwhelm him if he wasn't careful. He needed a plan. "Okay, let's be smart," he muttered, scanning the room. Using his portable plasma cutter, he carefully burned channels in the walls, isolating the nests. He worked slowly, deliberately. Every time a parasite lunged, he dodged and cut, careful not to harm the ship more than it already was. "Good, careful, you understand," the AI's voice whispered in his mind. It was eerie but comforting. He wasn't alone. Hours passed, though Elias didn't notice. The ship's corridors twisted, the parasites adapted, and the AI began to regain fragments of memory. Flashes of old battles appeared in his mind as images, glimpses of a proud ship once feared in the galaxy. A name tried to surface, but was lost again in static. Elias reached a section of the hull where the infestation was densest. The ship's systems flared, attempting to purge the parasites from within, but the alien organisms resisted. "I can't hold them, you must." The urgency hit him. This was no longer about salvage. This was about saving a life, a mechanical life, yes, but a life nonetheless. Elias adjusted his tools, setting up a makeshift array of energy traps and fire projectors from his equipment. Carefully, he began the process of purging, isolating parasite clusters, and severing their connection to the AI core. The parasites fought back viciously. One leapt from the wall, its tendrils reaching for his suit. Elias dodged, cutting it apart, sparks flying as metal met organic matter. He could feel his heart pounding, adrenaline rushing through him. And then a strange thing happened. The ship shuddered, and a deep, resonant hum filled the chamber. The AI was trying to help. Systems he hadn't seen in decades powered up, activating defensive protocols. Small turrets emerged from hidden panels, firing sterilizing energy bursts at the parasites. Elias smiled grimly. "Guess you do know some tricks after all," he said. Together, human and ship fought through the infestation. Slowly, the corridors cleared. More lights came online, more doors opened. The voice in his head grew stronger, more coherent. "Thank you, name, Elias, remember." Memory fragments began to coalesce in the AI. It remembered its purpose, its past missions, the battles it had fought, and the crew it had served long ago. It was awakening from a nightmare decades in the making. Elias stopped for a moment, leaning against the wall to catch his breath. He looked around at the ship, half destroyed yet alive, and felt a strange sense of connection. "You're lucky I like a challenge," he said softly. "We're just getting started." The AI hummed, almost in agreement, as the last of the small parasite clusters were purged from the immediate area. Elias could feel the ship's personality solidifying, proud, ancient, yet cautious. It trusted him for now. As he continued deeper, the corridors twisted toward the core. The ship, despite its damaged systems, seemed almost eager to help guide him. They were partners now, and Elias understood something profound. Humans had a unique ability to act where others would flee, to save what others would abandon, and to find hope where machines and aliens alike saw only despair. And the core awaited, holding secrets and dangers greater than anything Elias had ever faced. The real test, the bond between human courage and machine intelligence, was just beginning. Outside, the battlefield drifted silently. But inside, a human and a warship were awakening together, ready to reclaim a power long thought lost to the stars. The corridors of the ancient warship were no longer silent. Every flicker of light, every distant echo, reminded Captain Elias Riker that danger was still close. The parasites he had purged from the outer halls were only a small part of the infestation. Deep inside, they were stronger, more organized, and far more dangerous. Elias checked his plasma cutter and the makeshift energy traps he had rigged. His breathing echoed inside the helmet of his suit. The AI's voice, now stronger and more coherent, pulsed in his mind. "Core ahead. Parasites adapt quickly, follow my guidance." Elias nodded, even though the ship couldn't see him. "Lead the way, then." As he moved, the warship seemed almost alive. Lights shifted to illuminate safe paths. Doors slid open before him. Panels activated, showing maps of the internal corridors. The AI was guiding him, but it could not fight the parasites directly in the deep core. That task would fall entirely to him. The first real attack came without warning. From a darkened corridor, tendrils shot out like snakes. Elias fired his plasma cutter, but they were fast, crawling along walls, ceilings, and even the floor. He leapt to avoid them, sparks flying as plasma met alien flesh. One tendril struck his arm, leaving a burn mark in his suit, but he managed to slice it cleanly. "Adapt, faster," the AI warned. "They learn from your movements. They will try to trap you." Elias' jaw tightened. "Good, let's see how smart you really are." He scanned the corridor, noticing tiny ventilation ducts above. Using a portable tether, he swung across the room, landing behind the largest cluster of parasites. With precise cuts, he destroyed several nests in one sweep. It was exhausting work. His muscles ached, his suit's sensors screamed warnings, and the stench of the parasites filled the air. But the AI's voice kept him steady. It offered guidance, pointing out weak points in the infestation, and even powered small defensive turrets to assist him. "Good, cooperation improving," the AI said, almost proudly. Hours passed, or maybe it was days. Time felt strange inside the ship. Elias moved through winding corridors and massive engine rooms, facing creatures that seemed to anticipate his every action. The parasites were no longer mindless. They coordinated, attacking in waves, trying to separate him from the AI. At one point, he entered the ship's old hangar bay. Shadows twisted across the walls. Hundreds of small parasites scuttled across the floor, crawling on broken fighter frames. He activated the energy trap, and a pulse of heat vaporized dozens instantly. But more emerged from vents, forcing him to retreat. "Do not fight all at once, focus," the AI advised. "Divide, conquer, core is near." Elias realized the AI was right. He could not destroy every parasite in the ship. It was too late for that. He needed to reach the core chamber, where the infestation was weakest but most crucial. There, he could sever the parasite's connection to the AI, freeing the ship completely. As he pressed forward, he found an old maintenance corridor that led to the core. The walls were lined with pipes and conduits, some sparking, others leaking alien fluid. Tendrils of parasites moved along them, almost like they were watching him. Suddenly, the ship trembled. A massive cluster of parasites burst from a breach in the wall. They were huge, monstrous compared to the smaller ones, long, segmented with sharp clawed limbs. Elias' breath hitched. He knew this was the main nest. "Core beyond must pass," the AI urged. Elias swallowed hard. He had no choice. He engaged his plasma cutter and moved quickly, dodging the creature's claws. Sparks flew as he cut tendrils, some narrowly missing his armor. He improvised traps, setting energy charges in choke points. The creature screamed, an eerie, high-pitched sound that echoed through the metal corridors. "Clever human, inventive," the AI said. It opened hidden vents, releasing bursts of sterilizing gas that weakened the parasites. Elias smiled under his helmet. Finally, teamwork. It took all his strength and focus, but slowly he cleared a path to the core chamber. The massive double doors, covered in parasite growth, loomed before him. He paused, feeling a strange connection with the ship. This was more than metal and circuits. This was a sentient being pleading for survival. Elias' core, vulnerable now. He took a deep breath and entered. The core chamber was enormous, with a central reactor glowing faintly. Parasites crawled over every surface, feeding off the ship's energy and linking directly to the AI. Elias knew he had only one chance. He set up a series of energy traps, carefully calculating the release patterns. Then, using a combination of plasma cutter and improvised grenades, he began the purge. The parasites fought with relentless ferocity. Tendrils lashed out, attempting to strike him, but Elias moved with precision and speed. The AI, now partially awake, guided him. Lights flashed on panels, shielding him from attacks and opening pathways to destroy nests. Focus, now all at once, timing. He followed the instructions exactly. In a final, daring move, he triggered a massive energy pulse, engulfing the core chamber. The parasites screamed as they were incinerated or driven out. The air was thick with smoke and the smell of burning organic matter. Elias coughed, but he had succeeded. The AI's voice returned, fully coherent and clear for the first time. "Thank you, human, Elias Riker, I am free." Elias leaned against the wall, exhausted but exhilarated. He could feel the ship's personality awakening, spreading through the systems like a wave. Panels lit up, engines powered, and communications channels hummed alive. "You saved me, I owe you my life," the AI said. Its tone was proud, almost warm. Elias smiled. "Don't thank me yet. I just cleared your parasite problem. Now we need to see what else you can do." The ship shifted, its systems testing themselves, activating weapons and defenses long dormant. The AI began recalling its history, battles it had fought, strategies it had executed, and the crew it had lost decades ago. For the first time in a generation, it was fully alive. "Human, I can serve again if you wish." Elias nodded. He understood the significance. This was no ordinary salvage. This warship, once thought lost to history, was now an ally of humanity. The galaxy had underestimated humans before, but here was proof of their courage, ingenuity, and adaptability. As he prepared to exit the core chamber, a faint tremor ran through the ship. The outer hull shuddered and sensors picked up a weak energy signal approaching from outside. Elias frowned. They were not alone. Someone or something was coming to claim the warship. "Looks like our fight isn't over yet," he muttered. The AI hummed, ready for action. Its voice was steady, proud, and confident. "Together, we can face anything. Human ingenuity and machine power unstoppable." Elias smiled, gripping his plasma cutter tightly. He had faced death, uncertainty, and horrors no alien had dared to challenge. Now, with the warship awakened and his courage proven, he was ready for whatever the galaxy would throw at them next. Outside, the stars continued to shine cold and indifferent, but inside, a human and a legendary warship were united in purpose. They were alive, they were free, and they were ready to prove the galaxy that humans could face the impossible and win. The warship hummed with renewed energy, its systems fully alive for the first time in decades. Captain Elias Riker floated through the corridors, his boots clicking softly against the metal floor. Every panel that flickered to life, every console that responded to his touch, was a reminder that the AI inside this legendary vessel was no longer trapped. Yet as Elias surveyed the ship, a warning from the sensors made his blood run cold. Outside, in the void of space, energy signatures approached, fast, numerous, and hostile. It wasn't the remnants of the old war, nor was it some random debris. These were live attackers, a fleet of alien scavengers and opportunists drawn by the ancient warship's activation. "Looks like the galaxy remembered me too," Elias muttered under his breath. He floated to the bridge, where the AI's interface now shone with a soft blue glow. "Elias, they will not stop. We must defend, together we are strong." The ship's voice was confident, almost proud. Elias allowed himself a small smile. He had faced countless dangers inside these corridors, defeating parasites that had no hope of surviving against him alone. Now he was going to test the bond between human ingenuity and machine power in the open void of space. The alien fleet was closing rapidly. Their ships were sleek, fast, and heavily armed. But the warship's sensors picked up weaknesses in their formations, gaps in their defenses, predictable attack patterns, and overconfidence. Elias studied the data carefully, realizing that strategy, speed, and precision would matter more than raw firepower. "Prepare weapons, follow my instructions, human tactics I will execute." Together, human and ship formed a plan. Elias guided the AI in a series of maneuvers, using the ship's advanced propulsion to make sharp, unpredictable turns. Energy beams and missile turrets, long dormant, came alive under the AI's command. The alien fleet fired first, confident that the ancient vessel could be destroyed easily, but they underestimated humanity. Elias noticed a cluster of smaller enemy ships trying to flank them. Using a combination of thruster bursts and directional decoys, he drew them into a trap. The warship unleashed concentrated plasma pulses, obliterating several attackers in a brilliant flash. Impressive, human intuition, adaptiveness, lethal. Elias grinned. Told you I'm good at this. He pushed the ship harder, weaving through the enemy formation. The AI followed every suggestion, firing weapons with perfect timing. Together, they were unstoppable. Despite their coordination, the battle was far from easy. Alien ships struck back with ferocity, ramming, firing plasma beams, and launching swarms of drones. Elias dodged each attack using calculated maneuvers, sometimes putting himself in harm's way to protect the warship. He trusted the AI, and it trusted him. In the middle of the fight, a massive alien flagship emerged, its size dwarfing even the ancient warship. Elias' stomach tightened. One wrong move and both he and the ship could be destroyed. Human, focus. This is our moment. We can overcome together. Elias nodded, thinking quickly. He realized the flagship's defenses were concentrated in its front, leaving the rear vulnerable. Using the warship's enhanced engines, he executed a daring maneuver, a loop around the enemy, presenting the rear to his weapons while dodging frontal attacks. The ship's turrets fired with deadly accuracy, punching holes through the enemy hull. Yes, well-executed human brilliance, adaptable and fearless. The flagship erupted in a massive explosion, sending debris spiraling through space. The rest of the alien fleet hesitated, shocked at the display of strategy and power. Elias took advantage, guiding the warship in a series of precision strikes that forced the remaining enemies to retreat. When the last alien ship had fled into the void, Elias floated in the bridge, breathing heavily. The warship's AI spoke softly, almost reverently. You have proven humans are worthy, beyond expectation. I am honored. Elias removed his helmet, letting his hair float freely in the zero-gravity chamber. You're welcome, but don't thank me yet. We're just getting started. With the external threat gone, Elias turned his attention back inside the ship. The parasites, though mostly purged, had left remnants in hidden systems. A final sweep was necessary to ensure the warship would be fully restored. He descended to the lower decks, following the AI's guidance. The remaining parasites had retreated to a core maintenance sector, but they were organized and desperate. Elias worked quickly, setting traps and using improvised energy pulses to destroy the last clusters. The creatures fought with ferocity, but he was smarter, faster, and more creative. Careful patience, precision, human skill unmatched. Minutes felt like hours as Elias battled, but finally the last parasite shrieked and dissolved under the combined assault of human cunning and the ship's systems. The air cleared, and a silence filled the corridors, this time a peaceful silence. It is done free, entirely, thanks to you, human. Elias stood amidst the quiet, feeling a sense of pride. He had faced overwhelming odds, alien threats, and life-threatening dangers, and yet he had prevailed. The warship, fully awake and grateful, was now a living monument to human courage and ingenuity. As he floated toward the bridge, the AI spoke again, its tone filled with admiration. Elias Riker, you are extraordinary humans, capable of hope, determination, bravery. You are remarkable. Elias smiled, feeling a warmth in his chest. We're remarkable because we try, we don't give up, we don't leave anyone or anything behind. The warship's engines powered up fully, radiating energy through the empty space around it. It flexed like a sleeping giant, ready to reclaim its place in the galaxy. With Elias at the helm, they would face whatever challenges came next together. "Where do we go now?" Elias asked. "Wherever humanity calls, I serve, we fight, we protect, we endure." Elias nodded. The warship, once abandoned and infested with parasites, now floated proudly, fully restored. It was a symbol of what humans could do. They could face darkness, confront despair, and bring life back to what others had abandoned. As the Starhawk detached and returned to its small shuttle, Elias watched the massive warship stretch its engines and sensors toward the stars. He knew stories of this day would spread across the galaxy, not just of a legendary ship, but of a human who dared to save it. And humanity, once again, had proven its resilience, intelligence, and courage. For in the darkest void, where even machines feared to hope, one human had stood and the galaxy had witnessed. Humans could rise above fear, solve the impossible, and prevail. The stars shone cold and distant, but inside the warship, life, hope, and determination glowed brighter than ever.